Hello and welcome to this webinar that will be all about open land use. My name is Bente Lilja. I'm going to be your host today, and as you can see, I have two speakers with me that will share their knowledge about open land use data sets and how you can analyze and develop this further. Now, today, before we start, we normally do a weather reporting. So this is my signature webinar, actually. So as people are we give people some time to get on here. We start with a very short weather report, and we encourage you to do the same on your side. You see that you have a chat box where you can say hello, tell us where you're from, and what the weather is like, and we will show you how it's done here inside the webinar room. So we will start with you, Dmitri. What is the weather like and where are you?
I'm in Prague, and yeah, hello everyone. And it's very sunny weather, maybe around 20 degrees, actually. Yeah, very good. Because last week in the beginning it was snowing, and now it got much better. So spring is coming.
Sounds very nice, actually. And Sopia, let us hear how it is where you are.
I am in Crete, in Greece. The weather is not very good the last days. It's cold, windy, and cloudy. You can see also if you want.
Yes.
But okay, we need the rain sometimes here because it doesn't rain a lot.
No, so it's rather unusual for us because normally when we hear about Greece, we foresee, clear sky, blue sky, sunny. Yeah. So where I am in Norway, so far north, even beyond the Arctic Circle. And today started with a storm and rain. Now it's sunny and stormy. So we might see that my internet connection will be broken, but we know now that I will be able to come back. But that's the kind of weather we have. So with that, I think we can start with some housekeeping. We have 3 presentations today. We will start to go through an introduction to the open land use dataset, and we will also get some description of methods to use them. And then we will learn, and then we will introduce the 2 challenges. So this is a webinar in the Inspire Hackathon series. So there are 2 parallel hackathons right now, one Kampala Inspire Hackathon and one Dubrovnik Inspire Hackathon. Both of these hackathons have a challenge related to open data use, and you will learn about them as well. Now, then you will also get to learn more about how you can segment images and some methods to do that, and an introduction to Africa. So that's related to Kampala. And then we will finally be showing some demonstrations. By me, I mean Dmitri and Sopia, not me. I'm just being your host. So that's the program. We spend as much time as is needed, but we stay normally within 1 hour. So we have 2 speakers and 3 presentations today. You are more than welcome to ask questions. We can ask them in between, we can respond to them in between the presentations, but we have a Q&A at the end. I will also, by the way, I will add some more information about what the Inspire Hackathon is and what it means to be working in an all virtual hackathon, as is the case now. The Inspire Hackathon concept is normally consists normally of a virtual part, but this year, because of the virus situation we have, it's going to be an all virtual hackathon. So I will inform you a little bit what that means and how you can participate. So that's the program for today. And I see that we have people from Kenya. Hello, Stanley. Antonia from Dalmatia in Croatia, from Nepal. That's very far away. So, and Rwanda, thank you so much. Midland, England. So in England, you are used to be concerned and with weather reporting. So we are happy to meet you here. Thank you very much. Ask questions and let's start. So Dmitri, can you start to introduce the open land use for us and the data?
Maybe first I will also say that for whom basically this hackathon is intended. This hackathon is intended, first of all, for people who would like to join the team either for Kampala challenge or for Dubrovnik challenge. This is the first group, target group, my target group to whom I aim the most. And secondly, just like basically people who are interested in general about spatial data, about remote sensing, monitoring of changes, and just like open minds, and even maybe you come here just to see something interesting, and maybe what I say it will be such interesting for you that you will decide to join the team. So then no problem, you can write me. It will be my email address in the presentation, and you can write me and join our team. So Bente, I will start with the presentation. Yeah.
Yes, and Dmitri, I forgot to say that you need also to introduce yourself, tell a few words about what you do and so on.
Okay, so my name is...
We'll do that later, so you can start that.
Dmitri Kozhukh, and I'm a cartographer. I'm also doing some programming. I'm interested about remote sensing. I finished a degree of cartography and geoinformatics, and I participated in various projects like local in Czech Republic, but also European projects that are related to geospatial data and cartography. So that's briefly about myself.
Thank you, Dima. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll then turn off camera and turn on the presentation.
We will all turn off our cameras while you are giving the presentation. And I posted just in the chat box a link where you can read about the Kampala challenge related to open land use. And that's where you also can sign up for the hackathon.
So Bente, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so basically in this presentation I will speak at first, as Bente said, about open land use dataset, what is this, and then I will explain a little bit the challenges for the Dubrovnik hackathon. It's basically extending open land use dataset by some selected themes, for example, from Inspire registry, and also we have challenge for a Kampala hackathon related to open land use. It's basically extending open land use dataset for Africa. So like some brief information about what is this open land use dataset is. That is basically some initiative that emerged when I was working for a European project called Plan for Business, and at that time it was aiming at creating a very detailed data set of land use for Europe, and this data set is of great importance for activities such as planning activities by local authorities, or like for businessmen when they are interested to plan their business, to select proper location for the business, but also for citizens to monitor the environment in which they live, and to basically see all activities that are going around. And the product is as detailed as possible, because for activities such as planning business, it's very important not just to have land use as you see it from space, but a very detailed data set, harmonized and seamless, so that you basically can analyze all areas in Europe to see what you're looking for. And at the bottom, it's you could see the URL of some more detailed information about this data set, and also how to download it, how to use it. This is basically how it looks. It's goes very detailed in some countries where data sources available, that data sources allow it. So it's at the level of some cadastral parcels, so like farmers' fields, and it's basically at that time it was just displaying the land use in this concrete parcel. How it was generated, it's basically generated from all variety of available sources, and they are intersected. Basically, it's maintained by borders of municipalities in Europe, and for each municipality we select all available data sources, and then we start to intersect it with the borders of municipalities, and we go from the most precise geometry to the less precise geometry. So if we have the whole area of municipality covered by cadastral map, then we just take cadastral map and that's it. If the cadastral map, digital cadastral map doesn't cover the whole area of municipality, we add other less precise data sources so that we have seamless coverage. So this is basically how it was done, and there were very few attributes in this data set, in the initial data set. There were basically just attributes about land use category and also the sources from which this information was derived. With the time, there became some new requirements to this data set. For example, it was proposed because I work in several European projects. Some are related to agriculture, some are related to climate. So there were people who were proposing why you have just information about land use there. For example, why do you have, we know just the land use in this parcel. Maybe you could extend it to some other interesting attributes that could be of interest of farmers or some climatologists or some industries, and you could extend it, for example, for also soil type, or you could extend it for some average climate condition in the area. So this is how it came, this idea to extend data set by some new attributes, and then also because we started to organize some events in Africa. For example, last year it was also ICT conference in Kenya and hackathon. So there were some people, and also you know that data sources now are more and more available. So people started to propose also to extend this data set geographically so that it doesn't cover just Europe, but also goes outside and covers the whole world. And then other requirements such as keeping database up to date, because before how it was that there were some certain timestamps for which time states for which data was downloaded and the database created, but now we basically want to update it constantly. And then another basically requirement that comes from the first requirement, extendability of data set by new attributes. There were some people who are interested, for example, to export the open land use data set with, for example, topic of soils or with topic of climate conditions by some administrative units. So basically we have some final database with information about climate in parcels, and you want to export it, for example, for municipality A or for municipality B. So this is the new requirements, and basically the first requirement to extend the data set by new attributes I added as a challenge for Dubrovnik hackathon, and another requirement extend data set geographically to cover Africa. I added to Kampala hackathon as a challenge, and now I will maybe describe more about what we will work on and how So in the Dubrovnik 5 challenge, what you will have is basically initially it's the PostgreSQL databases on our LESS project server, where we have some databases. We're still doing research of other databases that could be available, but right now we also have some databases there, and each database it is covering some quite important data source. For example, Czech digital cadastre we have Czech land parcel identification system, and other databases. And these databases that we maintain, they update it regularly. Basically, all this is just information about land structure and about land use and land cover. Each database it's structured in the same way. It's basically a hierarchical structure where you have three levels. It's municipalities, countries, and global level. And it's done basically to make more easy the maintenance of database and to optimize the speed of the queries. And then also what you will get, and probably what you can basically propose yourself within this hackathon is some topic, for example, topic soil, or topic historical land use, or topic climatic topic, and basically you provide the definition of this topic, and this is basically the resultant product that you would need to create from the database that you are given. Well, also there are, except these databases, which are basically all vector data sources, there will be some raster data sets if you would like to use. It will be stored as a file in our server and file system. And then what is expected is to propose some topics that would be interesting for you to work on. Also, it's actually it will be great if you know some data source from which you can get this topic. For example, if you would like to, let's say, to give you an example, if you would like to create some information. If you would like to extend open land use dataset by some information about soils, it would be great if you provide some data sources that you can get the information about soils. So basically, the resultant database, it will be that you will take the reference data, all these databases that I have mentioned that already there, for example, the borders of the parcels, etc., etc., and then you will overimpose this thematic data set over them, and you will have some transformation scripts and rules that will basically enrich open land use by this thematic layer of soils in this example. And then yes, I think this will be the main challenge for Dubrovnik. And if we speak about Kampala here, the main purpose is to extend land use data set for Africa, and it is very important to find relevant vector data sources for administrative borders in Africa. As I have mentioned, the database is structured hierarchically, and it's important to know the exact borders of municipalities and countries. So this is very crucial. And then it's also very important to do research about available vector and raster data sources related to land use and land cover in Africa. And sometimes because still in some European countries it's already sort of established that the government publishes and maintains vector data sets about spatial data sets, about cadastre, about other things freely for everyone publicly. But in Africa, it's not always the case, and so sometimes we need to explore potential of using remote sensing data for extraction such information. And maybe now it's the right, because what you can do, you have now like Sentinel images available, freely Landsat images available. They're done with great with big frequency in different specters, and with this you can use, for example, image segmentation technique to derive objects on it, and then you can do some classification of these objects to define land use and land cover there. But this is basically will be some topic about which Sofia will tell you now. I will give her the floor. Basically, she's the first person who signed up for this Kampala challenge, and it's exactly what she's working on. She's working on the deriving information about land use and land cover from satellite data. So, Sofia, maybe now I will pass you the word.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dmitri, for that. And just to make a point, these slides will be made available so that people can see them later, right?
Yes,
on Plan for All. So we publish. Well, if you have registered for this webinar, you will get the replay of the webinar automatically in your inbox later today. But we will also, after we've collected the information, and we will also publish at the later stage this recording with the slides on planforall.eu. So planforall.eu. I posted the link to the Kampala challenge description, a more elaborate description in the chat here, so you can see where Plan for All is from that link as well. But then you can see more what Dmitri has presented right now. But before, so we will move on, and as Dmitri said, we will hear from Sofia. And you will talk about segmentation of images and some methodology. And you are interested in the Kampala hackathon. Well, more than interested, you are a part of the Kampala Inspire Hackathon. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself before Dmitri again will share his screen so that you can present your presentation?
Yes, my name is Sopia Peleli. I am a remote sensing and GIS analyst. I have a bachelor and master in environmental resources, and mostly with I forgot the word. Anyway, with nature disasters. The truth is that I wasn't doing any programming before, but I was very interested in doing, and so this is my biggest opportunity through hackathon to start doing it. And this is why I was very excited. And so, as our host said, Bente, as Dmitri said, I just participated as he asked you to do if you would like so. So I just saw the article, I found it interesting, and so I began. That's why I don't have a lot of things to show, because I'm very new. I am in my beginning in this part. And I was also wanted to figure out the programming part first, because I was doing all my applications in GIS, so it was very challenging for me. But I have made a try. So
yeah, but this is great, Sofia. This is really great, because this is what one of the purposes of this hackathons, and I think you can be a very good examples then to just show how you can just take a challenge and throw yourself in there. You don't need to know everything beforehand. You can use it as an opportunity to learn. Of course, you have this expertise background, but yeah, you don't need to know everything before you jump on this challenges. Just a few words before I give you the floor. a few words about the internet connection. As I said when we started, there's some stormy weather around here, so the internet connection on this side have turned out to be a little bit unstable. But I'm not quite sure if it's the only one. So just so you know that the internet connection can be unstable several places. So bear with us. We hope that you hear and can understand what is being said. As I said, oftentimes the recording is better. It's sort of smoothens the sound a little, and besides, you will get the slides, and then you can just sign up and join the people here. So yeah, Sopia, I will give you the floor, and Dmitri will share his screen again, and we will disappear from our cameras. Yes.
Yes, because I have a technical problem, Dimitris will have the presentation, so we will try to figure this out. Okay, when he opens it.
Yeah, I have opened, yeah.
And when you share the screen, yeah. And again, please ask questions in the chat box. We will answer them probably towards the end this time. But don't be shy, ask questions in the chat box.
Okay, so at first it's like two small parts. The first is the image segmentation. It hasn't been done in satellite images exactly. They're JPEGs, the most of them. What I have done, because at first I just wanted to see if I can understand through programming how to work on things, and then okay, I could also try to apply it as a next step to the satellite images. So this picture is from Land Cover. It's not from us, but it has the same logical, let's say, the same way of thinking with the land use, and it has been created through image segmentation and deep learning for the whole world. Yeah, so this is almost, let's say, what we would like to do for the Kampala project. So on the next slide. Okay, so with remote sensing, the very good thing that we have is that we can, first of all, we can obtain things without being in touch with them. So we don't have even to be physical there. For now, I can be in Greece and I can take pictures from Africa. The very good thing is that we have a very big scale range of land, very fast, with no cost or almost no cost. It depends with the satellite images you will want to download. So for lands that there is no available geological data or anything like that, we can download the satellite images and make one of our own. Or even in places that the people cannot go, for example, some high hills with big slopes and blah, 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 blah. So with satellite images, we have this opportunity. Okay, so the next slide. So image segmentation refers to the process of partitioning a digital image into multiple segments, sets of pixels, also known as image objects or clusters, wherever. Okay, so when we use image segmentation in remote sensing, then we make, okay, each satellite image consists of thousands maybe of pixels, of small pixels, of maybe 10 meter, 20 meter, it depends on the image. Now with the image segmentation, we can make larger pixels. We can group these pixels when they are, let's say, similar together. They have a similar kappa mean value, which we'll see later. And this is easier, so we can segmentize the picture. So we can observe the different classes on our image, either it is a forest or a river or a mountain or a town, anything like that. Okay. And so in the future also, by using neural networks or machine deep learning, we can make this an automatic situation and detect also in other areas, or maybe in future we can observe how this land use changes through time. Okay, in the next slide. Okay, there are a lot of methods. These are the ones I used. They are all unsupervised methods. It is the superpixel slick and silko method, the affinity propagation, the kappa means method, and the mini-batch kappa means. And there are also combinations of the above. There are also supervised methods that I saw, and maybe I will try also later, but this is what I have done for now. Okay, this is a JPEG, not TIFF or HDF, image of a sentinel image from a river in Africa, which I will segmentize. I did segmentize, and you will see. So in the next picture, slide, we have three methods. The first is the superfixed pixels with affinity propagation. The second is superpixel affinity propagation and kappa means, and the third is superpixels affinity propagation and mini-batch kappa means. I don't know how large it is to your screen because I see you through the mobile phone, but you can observe the differences in the methods. The better quality is the second one, even if it takes the most of the time. But okay, if you have a good server, it's better. The next slide. Okay, in the next slide, we see the masks that we have extracted from the second method that you saw. So these are 8 classes, like 8 clusters. It means that each one of them belongs to one class and has a similar kappa mean value. Okay, as you will see forward, because this you control it manually, the number of the pixels you want to have, the superpixels, the colors that you want to have. And so by playing, let's say, with by adjusting these numbers, you get also different masks and different clusters, etc. So the next slide. Okay, here is a comparison of the same picture of the same method, but in the first I have used 700 superpixels, and in the other one 1000 superpixels. So you can see that, okay, it is more detailed, the second one, because it has more superpixels. But in the first one, we can maybe see for now that for me it has better results, because if I had also the initial image next to them, you could see that the classes are more clear, because all of the rest, all of the gray and the white is like, let's say, soil, pure soil. So we don't need to have a lot of classes for the soil. We need to have less. And okay, the next slide. Okay, here is for the 700 superpixel, the masks. We only have 4, let's say 3, because the first has only 1 pixel. But we have 3, and they are more clear. The river, the soil, and the more dark soil, which maybe could be a high hill or something like that. Okay, the next slide. Okay, then I have the second part that I started learning how to download, extract, and get involved in a way with a satellite image through R programming. Okay, which is something that I already knew to do by getting in the right side and downloading putting my filters, but it's very nice to do it also through program. So the next slide. Okay. First, I had to define the area of interest. I don't have the code next to it. I don't know if I had to, but this is the area that I had defined. Next, okay, this is the whole satellite image that the area of interest belongs to. Because it's better, at least for the beginning, to start segmentize smaller areas to see the results and then take it to the big scale. We will have better results. I had an error all the time that I couldn't fix, and that's why this is again the JPEG image. Anyway, the next slide. Okay, I also wanted to show you, because I downloaded the data through the program, I unzip it, I did I put some filters, blah, blah, blah. I chose the bands that I would. I colorized with the RGB the image, but again, I had the same error, so I couldn't show you that. This is the bands that I have selected from the Sentinel-2 satellite image, and maybe, if not all of them, the most of them are the ones that I would like to segmentize in the future, because they refer mostly to the RGB satellite bands, and I think also to the thermal bands. So it's better in order to detect better the river, to temperature. Sorry, I have a problem. Okay, that's it. And then I think I have an example more. The next slide. Yeah, okay, this is another example from another image. It's not a satellite image, but maybe you can observe better the layers if you have it in your PC, so you can understand better what's going on with the masks after you have segmentized the picture. That was all. Okay, you can.
Okay, thank you, Sofia.
Thank you very much.
Interesting.
Okay, I still have a lot of things to do, of course, to learn, but
I think it was a very nice introduction, because even I could follow what your process. So I think it was very valuable for us all.
And like in general from my side, because there are different methods how to extract information, and some people, they go that they select basically pixel methods. They work with pixels, and they classify pixels by pixel value in different bands. But maybe in this particular case, it makes more sense at first to differentiate the object, and then in the second step to say which object belongs to which category of land use or land cover. So we are going in this direction here, so that you understand.
Oh, interesting. Okay, are there any questions? I don't see any questions thus far. So are you saving it all to the end? Maybe. I think we're just gonna keep on then, Dmitri, and you have some demonstrations for us in this space, right?
Just a second. Let me see if I have finished with the presentation. Yeah, basically, I would like also to show a couple more slides, maybe 2-3 maximum, not to overload it, and then I will go to presentations, to demos.
Okay.
Okay, so let me share my screen again. So now how basically how you can get involved. So first thing, how to get involved. If you are speaking about Dubrovnik challenge, you can find interesting topics that are related to land use and land cover, and also thematic datasets related to these topics. And we could work together basically to extend open land use dataset by these topics. Then if you are interested more in Kampala challenge, you can do the research of spatial data related to land use and land cover in Africa, and also it would be great if some of you could help to find precise data sources about administrative borders in Africa. And basically, if you interested in what I have mentioned and you don't know how to start, maybe it's better to write me an email, but also I will show you now some tools that you can use basically to work with when you're working on these tasks. Those are some tools that are installed now on some hubs that we have specially set for these two hackathons. And in general, if you would need some more tools, I think that those tools are useful. I don't think that we would have objections to install them also, but I think that what we have there already, it will be enough. So now I will speak and give some short demo of these tools. It will be some metadata catalog. So metadata catalog, for you to understand what it is, it's basically some meta information about data. So let's say you have found some interesting data sets about soils in Africa. So one thing, you can just write me an email that I have found it and I will do something with it. And the second thing, you can just go to this metadata catalog that we have set up, and you can enter how to get this data and some meta information about this data directly into this catalog. Then second tool I will speak about, it's some tool for data visualization. So for example, you have like interesting data sets that are published as services, and you could add this data on interactive map so that you can get some insight of this data, and you can see what this could be good for. And then third tool is Jupyter Hub. It has a Python and R kernels there, and with this you can basically do everything. It's like graphical interface for programming in Python and R. It has all the most common libraries installed. And for example, what Sofia has done in RStudio on her computer, it could be also done with this Jupyter Hub. So you're welcome to try it, or if you don't know, if you have some questions, you can ask me. And then also I will, if you have interest to work on the Dubrovnik challenge, I will provide you access to the databases that we already have, with which you can start to create some data sets. So let's go to the presentation of the tools. So let's start with Mitska. Mitska, it's available at this address, mitska.smartafrihub.com, and it's basically for entering information about the data. So far, I did some quick research myself, and I have added some meta information about, for example, Afri project data, AfriCover project. It was some project that was founded by FAO in Africa, and the purpose of this project, it was to collect the land cover from satellite imagery in the eastern part of Africa. Then also we have here some OpenStreetMap data about land use. I have published it in the form of WMS service. Then also it's Open Land Use for Africa data set. It's my initial attempt to create something such for Africa about 2 years or 3 years ago. That time even less data sources were available. Then also we have some quite detailed data that is automatically derived from satellite imagery in South Africa. And then it's some some land cover 20-meter resolution map of Africa, also derived from Sentinel imagery that was developed by European Space Agency in year 2016. Basically, this MITSCA metadata catalog, it's then connected to this tool. HS layers semantic map viewer, which runs. Yes.
Caesar is saying, he's asking if it's possible to zoom in a bit on the presentation. We are not able to read, he says. So just keep that in mind if you can zoom in.
Okay. Now I think that in this map it will be all quite visible. So basically, this semantic map tool is connected to this MITSCA meta information catalog. And if I click here the button data sources, it reads the data that it's available from this MITSCA meta information catalog. And so let's say I can add now these data sources to the map. Let's say I will add now some automatically derived data source about land cover in South Africa. So I select up, it's already like in MITSCA, now it reads the endpoint, the URL to the data source, and then it gives me the layers available. And then when I select the layers that I need, I click plus, add to the map. And then when I go to South Africa, I see this added to the map. So can like zoom in, zoom out. Also, you can add more layers. For example, if I go back to data sources tab, then again I click on MITSCA, and then let's say I would like to add also the information about land use available from OpenStreetMap. So I click on it. I connect. Yes, I select the format of the image. Then I select the layer. Press plus and wait a little bit, and it also should read. Like OpenStreetMap, it doesn't really cover everything continuously. So you see here it's some areas. Usually those are areas near the cities that are mapped better, but if you go somewhere far from the city, it's not so much information available. Yeah, so basically you're welcome to go to this tool to see the layers that are already available there. Maybe if you would like to add layers of your custom data or for some other data sources that are not there, then you can add it to MITSCA meta informational catalog, and then from there, because it's automatically connected to this tool, you can add it to the map. And also, if, for example, you want to share the map compositions that you have with others, you can save map compositions and send the link to, for example, and share the links through social media like Facebook. Also, you can do it. If someone is interested in it, you can just ask me and I will explain how to do it. So now let's go to this Jupyter. Let me refresh it to show you from the beginning how it works. It's basically some graphical interface for programming in Python and there. And I was playing last week to create some basically some extension of open land use, which demonstrates the historical land use in Czech Republic based on Corin land cover data. And I will show you now how to open this data set and how to use it from the environment of this Jupyter notebooks. Open this notebook. So basically, it looks like, maybe I will zoom in so that people see better. So it basically, in the beginning, you import libraries that you use. For example, in my case, I work with Python mostly. So when I set up this notebook, I select Python language. So here I import libraries. Here, because I have all the source data in database, so I instantiate connection to the database. Here, for example, I query for this historical data in Czech Republic for some certain area. Here is you define area by bounding box, and then I get this data from database. Well, it's always good when you get the data to see how it looks. So, for example, here I just got some data, some features from this database for the area of interest that I need, and I see it as a table, so that for me it's clear what this means. So it's some idea of the data, type geometrical, so that it's polygon, some coordinate of this polygon, and then I have data from Corin land cover, how in this parcel, each polygon is like one cadastral parcel. And you have here the code for land use and land cover in year 90, 2000, 2006, 2012, and 2018 for each parcel. So okay, let's display this data. So then instantiate the map object from IPython leaflet library. Then I add this data to the map. And for example, now let's say we're interested to see the parcels that has changed land cover between year 90 and 2018. So then at first I add initial data, all of the data, and then let's say I will just select the data I will select the parcels that has changed land cover between year 90 and 2018. So I run this query, and from this query I create another layer. Like also here, if you notice, for each layer you can define some styles. So for example, all parcels I left as green, and the parcels who has changed the land use, land cover I made to be red. And then I call method display, and I display the map. Yeah, and here I see the area of my interest, and it's basically some rural part near to where I live in Czech Republic. And as you can see here in year 90, probably it was just forest, because here you can see that most of the parcels, they has changed land cover since 1990. So it's probably it was forest, and in recent times, in this process of suburbanization, people started to basically move out of Prague and build houses there. So just very few parcels in this area has basically the same land cover as it used to be in 1990. But anyhow, then I think that we can make in this Jupyter, we can make some folder, let's say public, where I can share this notebooks also with you. That you can start with something, and they have some other examples here. Maybe that it's too long to go through all of them. It's some example how to use the data published by WFS service. It's also some attempts to do pixel classification by random forest algorithms. Yeah. So then. Then I just wanted to thank you for your attention, and in case you are interested to join the team, you're welcome to write to me an email, or maybe maybe you don't want to join the team, but you're just interested to use the tools that I was speaking about. In this case, also don't hesitate to write to me, or for example, if you will use this Jupyter notebooks and you miss some library, you would like to install some additional library, also you're welcome to write to me about this. Yeah, thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dmitri. It sounds like a very interesting project. I did some polls among you, the attendees here, and apparently there are about 1/3 who has done image segmentation, Sofia. So maybe you will have company in working on that. I also asked to begin with if the audience had heard about or had experience with open land use, and there were some who had and some who hadn't. So it's a mix, and I think that's very interesting too, and promising. So you have somebody who knows something about it beforehand, and somebody who will benefit from learning by participating here. And by participating, you heard Dmitri inviting you. He provided also an email. Somebody asked for it, Dmitri, so I I posted your email in the chat box as well. I also posted some links to more information about the Inspire hackathons, both the Kampala and the Dubrovnik in general, and that's where you can take it further from there. You already got a description of the Kampala Inspire Open Land Use Challenge, but I don't think you have written a similar one for the Dubrovnik. Is that right, Dmitri?
No, I haven't written yet. I will do this.
Yes, you will do this, so you can see the two, but they are.
Yeah, we still have 1 month to go because the hackathons they finish approximately 11th of May. So I think it's good if people start now to maybe like this or next week to think about what they're interested to do and like to get grip on the tools that we provide, on the data. Maybe also will take 1-2 weeks, and I think it's enough time to have some decent result in 1 month.
Yes, and that was a good segue for me to say that in this hackathon, what's in it for you? So the Inspire hackathon concept, it's not an event, it's actually a process. So this open land use challenges have been worked on several of the former Inspire hackathons, right, Dmitri?
Yes.
Yes. So it's building up on each other. So what you do in this hackathon is not lost. It's actually something you build on for the next one. That's one point. And the second point is that we don't have any cash award or anything like that. But what we do have, as a reward for you, is that we are writing report. It doesn't sound like a reward, maybe more like a punishment, but actually it is a reward, because this report will be the basis and can serve as a basis for publications that you, if you are a student or if you're a professional and you want to publish your work, this what you do here can be used for that. It's also, if you're not a scientist and you don't need to publish any technical or scientific paper, it can also be used, this reporting can be used to shed some lights on your activity, can create some awareness of what you're doing, of what you're concerned with. So you can use the written material. So we are creating content that you can actually use. For the Kampala reports, those will be actually published on Gudan with a DOI. So this is really a good offer from Gudan to do that, just to inspire you to actually write these reports. And we have 2 reports, Dima.
And maybe, Bente, you can say it first what is good, and so that people know.
Yes, it's good to know. But it's right. So what does it mean to participate? It doesn't sound, it means that you are writing to Dmitri, you got his email, or you can also register. Actually, you need to register, Dmitri, because then they will get all the information, the general.
Yes, but I prefer personal communication actually than some general mailing list, because all people could be interested in something else, and I think it is easier for me if people write me an email, say what they're interested in, and I can help them to basically move with this idea.
Yes. You will, of course, you will. Each of the mentors of you, Dmitri, you are a mentor for this challenge, and you will communicate directly with each of them. So one doesn't exclude the other. So you will.
I try basically to avoid some mass mails. For me, it's more convenient if it's like person to person.
Yes, and you will be able to do that. So Dmitri will do that, but you. So you register, and Dmitri has his channels to communicate with you. Are you using the Skype chat for the challenge? Not yet, but there is ways for you to interact with the rest of the group, including the mentor Dmitri. You can both chat short messages, email, of course. Email is one way of communicating virtually. And also, you can also have meetings, not like this, but similar meetings, video conferences or teleconferences when needed. And that's up to you individually to decide how to do. But that's the virtual part of this virtual hackathon. We have the dates, Dmitri, is actually, we have 2 dates. On the Kampala hackathon, the final workshop will be on the 6th of May. And the Dubrovnik Inspire Hackathon will have its final workshop on the 13th of May. And that's where all the presentations of the work of each of the challenges will be given. Prior to that, you will have about a week before, that will be the deadline for the final report. And the reason for that is that we will have a jury to go through all the challenges, the reports, and make an order. But like I said, everybody, no matter if the top 3 will get some extra attention, I would say, some extra help to promote their work and to publish their work. But all participants, all report and final reports will be published on Gudan. So just to
good to know.
Yes, it's good to know. And it's like, for most of us, actually doing work like this is very useful. I mean, having the documentation of some results is actually very helpful in many ways. Yes, and we have a midterm report, and there are 2 reasons for having a midterm report, and that is that you sort of you work towards a milestone. It's very disciplinary, and then you can sort of catch up. You refine the problems that you are addressing and make it clearer for everybody. So you need to write this down anyway. So that's the usefulness. And we are using it to attract more, to promote actually these hackathons and your work. So we will publish these reports on plan4all.eu to both inform others, and it will still be possible to join. It's up to, of course, it's more difficult the longer into the process you are. The harder it might be to jump in and contribute, but it might happen that somebody out there is reading about what you report, and then you say, well, I have something that will fit perfectly in this, and then Dima, you will get more resources. Yeah. So please, Dmitri, can you put your email on here? Yeah, we already did that, Akin, but probably you can do it again, your email address. I didn't see any other questions. Do you have any other comments? Sofia, any other comments?
No, for me it's very good until now.
Yeah. Dimitri, anything else?
Thank Dmitri for the opportunity again to start programming and doing all this new stuff for me.
Yeah, for me it's nice to hear that someone learns something new and basically develops professionally when participating. Like also, it's nice to create some community around this hackathons.
Yes. That's one of the purposes of the Inspire hackathons. The concept is to create a community that will be that is continuously kept alive through all these hackathons. So we have several hackathons per year, and we don't start from scratch. We are actually building a community. So, and it's open to all from all over the world. So thank you for joining us from all over the world to this webinar as well. And yeah. Yes.
No, okay, I just lost you. That's why.
Oh yeah. Okay, you lost me. Okay.
Some in Creta also.
Yes. Okay, but I think it's okay. Everything is fine by you. Nothing more to add here, Dimitri.
No, it's all from my side.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dimitri and Sofia, for doing this webinar for the Inspire Hackathons. And thank you so much to the audience for your engagement. And we hope to see you in one of the challenges that Dimitri is running now. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bente, for hosting.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sofia.
Bye.
Bye.